5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm John Miglosh for the Wisconsin DMA and the International Society for Strategic Marketing. I got a message today from a guy in the UK, I think, or EU somewhere, and he's doing a class on RFV, which my guess is recency, frequency, and value, which we call RFM, which doesn't make much sense because recency and frequency monetary is like what? Could be a lot of things. I like value better, but I'll go with RFM because it's what I got. And so I offered him my playlist on RFM, which has lots of thousands of views on YouTube. I encourage you to go track that down. And also we have e-rfm.com as a website that is underutilized, but Don Labby's book on RFM, Labby on RFM, is up there in its entirety with permission of Don. So let's dig in and let's get going. Okay. 61% of firms fail to follow GDPR and security best practices, study finds. That's by my friend Ray Schultz. How you doing, Ray? I'll have to cite you so we reconnect. Okay. A data security risk and security study was done by Networks. And of the organizations subject to GDPR, I'm not because I got rid of all the EU emails, 61% collect more data than GDPR permits. And 46% of firms that experienced unauthorized data sharing incidents are governed by GDPR. One of the interesting ones is if somebody requests data just by email, just sends a request, could I see what data you've got on me, which is a requirement of the CCPA, the California Protection Act, and you release it in GDPR, you're subject to violation. I don't know how you prove that you are the one requesting your data, but it's not obvious how you do that. And in CCPA, that's one of the big loopholes, is that I could request data on competitors or individuals that I want to target for hacking or something, and there's no firm, as far as I know, requirement of how to prove that you're you requesting information on you. Okay. While 91% of companies claim that they store sensitive and regulated data in secure locations, 24% admit they found data outside of designated locales, and 30% of system administrators gave access to sensitive data based only upon a request in the last year. Well, that's the way it is. That's the trouble with regulations. They're often written by people who don't understand regulation and often are trickier in practice than they are in theory. Which brings us to Facebook. Facebook to seek Supreme Court intervention. Why? Well, because the 9th District Court rejected their claim that, here's the way it works. Okay, this came out in 2011. So you want people to go to your website and then you want them to go to Facebook. So you put a Facebook like button on your website, and if they hit the Facebook like button, then what they don't know and you don't know is that Facebook can track them even when they're not online with Facebook. Drops it on their computer, watches what's going on, and apparently when they get to Facebook, it dumps it on to Facebook, or maybe it just goes as part of the packets as you're moving across the web. Privacy advocates argued that this is like a wiretap with consent of neither parties. So I had some complex legal negotiation a few years ago, and which the company did violate later. And I asked if I could record the conversation, and I held up a pen with a pad of paper. And they said, sure. Unknown to them, I also had a recorder sitting nearby. Now, that was in my office, which is legal. To record conversations in your own office without the other party's knowledge is actually legal when you go visit somebody. So just so you know. At least in Wisconsin it is. But also, I am on record asking for permission, which I did receive. Now, I didn't exactly say how I was recording it, but that's all legal. What isn't legal is when the government comes into my office, puts a bug in there, doesn't tell me, and doesn't tell anybody who visits me, and then records all that, right? Wearing a wire or whatever, wire tapping. And there's not a wire anymore. It's all broadcast behind the scenes. But Facebook argued that, well, if the publisher or the website puts a Facebook button on their website, they consent. And if the person clicks the Facebook like button, they consent. So Facebook has the consent of both parties, even though neither of them realized what was going on. And for a while, Facebook claimed that it was a bug, and then they claimed they were going to quit doing it, but now they do it. And that's down in the article way at the bottom. It says, Facebook, never mind. It says, it currently collects some information from logged out users. Right. Okay. So if you don't think you should advertise on Facebook because of the hate speech they don't block, well, that's your choice. But you might also not want to advertise on Facebook, or at least put a like button on your websites, because they're tracking your visitors and not giving you the information and not telling them either, which seems a little crappy. Okay, here's a cool one. Flood coating. There's a flood coating which was developed by the Associated Printing Productions, Inc., APPI, that caters to the leisure, cruise, and hospitality industries. While they were shut down, mostly the cruise industries, somebody came up with the idea, let's put a coating on the mailing piece that also contains antimicrobial. What an idea. Maybe we could take a shower in it. Actually, when you take a shower with the soap, that is an antimicrobial protection. Anyway, so now you know. Let's go on. This was Eric Koenig, one of the best articles I've ever read on direct mail attribution. And actually, because I would advocate that anybody doing digital should do some mail just to get this kind of information. Because mail, as I've been screaming for the last 2 years, mail guarantees a labeled data set. So if you're going to do if you're going to do machine learning and AI in marketing, you got to do mail. You got to. It's the only way right now. Okay, so what Eric says is, first, you can do direct mail matchback. That's what we do for every model. Remember I said you mail to the house and you ship to the house. But you may be mailing to the house and then the customer buys through another channel. They may go to a retail store. They may go online. They may even buy through Amazon. But you mailed them a catalog. Well, you can take all your orders and all the places you shipped, not if you do fulfillment by Amazon, I guess, but if you don't do that, you can take all those addresses and you can look and say, did we mail them? And did they order right after that? So you can provide a link that gives you an idea of what orders came from the mailing. Now, that doesn't guarantee that they came from the mailing, right? It could be happenstance that you mailed them, someone else threw it in the trash, they never saw it, and they were thinking of buying anyway. It's possible, right? So this guy argues that it probably over attributes the effect. However, which is worse, this or the digital method, which puts a cookie on an advertising ad, and it's on a big site like Facebook or ESPN, and tracks you, and sometime in the distant following time period, you place an order. Might have been that you just got mailed a catalog, and you opened it up and you ordered. But the digital boys will not all boys, but the ones I knew that knew nothing about what they were doing were boys, so I'll just say that. Okay, so the digital folks will say, "Oh, we had first touch. We definitely caused that." Now your customer won't even remember, whatever, but that's what they're doing without even tracking the address. Just some device that may not have been even online on Facebook, but once visited a site and Facebook continued to track it, like we just heard about. So I would say matchbacks are a really important methodology and the key to machine learning. It's the key because we have who got contacted, we have those who bought, and ergo those who didn't buy. And that gives us the labeled data set to do the machine learning. Digital doesn't really have that because the engagement is so low that you don't get a guaranteed look at your advertising. And yet you get attribution. So this is in contrast to the digital. Now, and here's the point that Eric makes. The matched record also carries over information about the list, the offer, and the creative cell it came from. And all the geodemographics that we attach on it, all the decision steps that we made in pulling it. So it basically carries along with it some 300 or 400 variables just by knowing that correspondence between the mailing list and the sale. Got it? That's how we do machine learning. That's why it works. That's why it works with mail, and 87% doesn't work in the rest of the world. Okay, now, in addition, if you wanted to think about the real incremental lift of mail, well, the great part is because of the high engagement, you can stop the mail, you can selectively, and you have to be a little careful because normally people just use an end select, but there's a lot more almost dead customers than there are the really hot customers. So what we do is we do a percentage from each cell so that we get the span of quality through the mailing list. And we'll say, okay, let's say we were mailing 500,000 pieces. We're going to not mail 50,000. Some of them will hold for 3 months. Some of them will just not mail for a month, and we'll look at the results. And in my latest webinar, which is available on YouTube, AI, ROI, and Chaos, and also it's posted on LinkedIn, but it's a little harder to find. I should make an article. I'll make an article out of it, and then it'll be easier to find. But also, if you just contact me on LinkedIn, you can get this. You can certainly get this webinar. You can play it at double speed, so it only takes a half an hour. Fasten your seatbelts. Anyway, so by using this holdout strategy, we can actually see there's enough engagement in mail that you can absolutely see a differential. You can see the ones who got mailed did better across the board in aggregate versus the ones who didn't get mailed. There's a clear differential. Whereas when Procter & Gamble cut their digital ads 45%, they didn't see any difference in their sales. Because digital is like the penny slot machine. Ding, 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 ding. No clear win or loss, but over time, the casino always wins. So they're intentionally not mailed. And though mail is withheld from the holdout group, they are still exposed to your brand's other influencing channels, digital, TV, radio, retail, which tethers direct mail incrementality results to outside factors, creating limitations in its accuracy. No, actually, because you assume that noise, the digital noise and all the other promotional noise, is equally or randomly distributed across the customers, it actually all cancels out and you get the true incremental lift of the mail. I would take issue with that statement Eric made because it actually does work, and it works every time, and it's just wonderful. It's beautiful. You can really see what's going on. Now, in addition, you can also try to finagle attribution models, which tend to favor whoever's running the study and whichever side they want to win. So I'm highly, 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 highly skeptical of those. And I would say the reason that 97 or 87% of direct marketing or marketing AI projects fail is because this is the kind of baloney they feed into the model and it doesn't work. So I highly recommend Eric's article in Brand United. It's the second day in a row I've used a Brand United. Way to go, Eric. I'm John Miglosh. Like and share. Your friends will think you're smart. Have a great day. Bye-bye.